And welcome once again to our Street Soccer United podcast with me, Keith Mabbott, founder CEO of the Street Soccer Foundation. On today's show, I'm pleased to be speaking with successful entrepreneur and business owner, Andy Clarke. Andy, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. The first question then for you is, how would you best introduce yourself to our listeners in 60 seconds?
Hey Keith, well, what an introduction. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Andy Clarke. I live in Westgate, in Kent. I'm 53, a father of my son Josh and my daughter Sydney, both of whom, of course, I'm very proud of. I think if people were to describe me or I was to describe myself, I think I'm just different. I'm a bit of a disruptor. I challenge people's opinions. I challenge people's beliefs. I encourage people to think outside the box. I'm a true believer of multiple revenue streams and diversity. I love my friends. I do a lot of socializing. My passion is to live and design my days and just go on holiday as often as you want, generating multiple revenue streams to enable you to live a life by choice. I think that would be the best, that would be a good start.
Fantastic. A perfect start, Andy. Now, coming to when you first got started in business, in 1990, you set up IT business 5-Star Computer Systems, which I believe you ran for 18 years, taking it to a successful exit when the business was at a turnover of £4 million. That was in 2008 when I believe you were 41. Tell us about why you set the business up in the first place and how you went about doing it.
So 5-Star Computer Systems was formed after a previous business where I'd fallen out with my partner. Customers kept saying, where are you? Where are you? And I then went in to help them out with their IT. I started off being quite technical, but over the time I developed into, I was very much a businessman looking after the ship at the helm, so to speak. So in the beginning, there wasn't a great deal of planning. It just happened. My target was to cover my debts every month. So I knew if I got to a certain figure, I could pay my outgoings. But as it grew, it moved from office to office, to a total of 35 people. And my brother joined us and we had a very successful operation with a reputation for looking after our people, looking after our customers, and being the best in service and sales.
That is so interesting, Andy. Starting a business to initially cover your debts and then driving it on to become something where you wanted it to be the best in service and sales. So how did you find recruiting staff? I mean, how did you recruit your first staff member, for example, and how did that work out? Is it kind of something you kind of took to naturally? How did you sort of build the team out?
So staffing was always an interesting one. Having left school at 15 with barely any O-levels and no university background or anything like that, it was a bit by trial and error in the end, in the beginning, I should say. But in the end, what I actually learned was staff, it was all about the personality. So I didn't necessarily look at the CVs. I was really interested in that belief, whether they're going to turn up on time or whether they're going to be sick every day. Were they a team player and were they going to fit in? So we did a lot on psychometric testing, and I did a course to understand people's personality profiles, because obviously somebody we need doing programming or support is very different to somebody we need doing sales. So it's all about the personality's profile makeup, which is a very, very interesting subject, psychology, which I love. So that was our staffing. Made lots of mistakes, lots of costly mistakes, but every time you make a mistake, you learn and you grow. And we looked after our staff. We had a team, we had a training track for personal development for each and every person, and we had a technology track for the technology they needed to keep up to on the IT side, the computer side, which was always fast moving, of course.
So you left school at 15 with no qualifications, and then you've said there it's all about the personality, not just the CV, the personality of someone, their attitude. It's great advice, Andy, in particular for the young people that we support through Street Soccer Foundation. What about the exit though? Had you been looking to sell the business or was you approached? And what happened for you immediately following that time? I guess it was semi-retirement, wasn't it?
So let's talk about the exit. We wanted to sell for a number of years, so like the last 3 to 5 years. We had two three negotiations, and the third one went through. So it doesn't always happen on the first time, but we did need systems and processes. We needed our contracts in place, and we needed to build value in the business. So finally, we did get a 7-digit check written by a guy that told me that cash was no longer king, cash was God. Now, what happened afterwards, I took a 3-day-a-week contract with that firm, the firm that acquired us, to do account management, which was absolutely my dream. 3 days a week to go and have coffee with my customers to talk about their businesses, how they were going to grow, and clearly, advise them on their IT and financial systems moving forwards. So I did that for a number of years, and I had a 4-day weekend. And I always remember on Thursday and Fridays, because I didn't work Thursdays and Fridays, I'd go into my kids' bedroom and say, kids, it's time to get back to school. Your dad's weekend starts here. I used those 4 days to educate myself in psychology, educate myself in personal training. And now, well, I think we're coming on to what I'm doing later, but I did that for probably too many years, for 10 years. Far too long looking back. I should have jumped ship, but it was just such a good business contract, 6-digit sum, three days a week. It was a struggle to say goodbye as well.
7-digit check and a 4-day weekend, Andy. For many there, you were living the dream. Just amazing. And but I know a lot of work went into achieving that, so congratulations. Now, I know you're a big kind of advocate for mindset and having a positive mindset, both in business and in life. Tell us more about what mindset means to you and how you feel people can improve their own.
Mindset is a really interesting one. It wasn't something I was really aware of until I was in my 30s, when I started doing management training courses and actually met a new best friend. They started to challenge me on all sorts of beliefs that I had. And what I actually understood was that the way I've been living in the past was, just on autopilot. So I started to question so many more things and study. I firmly believe everything is a choice, and with every choice we have a consequence. Everybody has choices, even if they say they don't. And I can find myself having arguments with people where they say they're in difficult positions and they don't have a choice. They do, they just don't like the consequence of that particular choice. So I really love talking to people. I'm a great listener and never judge. Always happy to help anybody from where they are with their mindset development and personal growth to where they want to go. I've got a couple of favorite books that I recommend to get people just on the first run of the ladder to start that, when they have a little bit of interest, how they can build on that and then go from there. Love listening to people, love helping people, especially friends and people I care about. I guess I should share my favorite book. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel. He's a Spanish guy. It could be interpreted as a bit weird, but it can mean so much, and it's the way I live my life every day.
Brilliant advice there, Andy. Becoming aware of the fact that, if you're living on autopilot, start to question things. Like you say, we've all got choices, and no doubt, of course, there are consequences to those choices, good and not so good. And in the book, In How You Lead Your Life Each Day, the Four Agreements will certainly provide a link to that. So coming to more current activity of yours, I know you're passionate about network marketing, and you've recently partnered with iBoomerang, a new tech startup. Tell us more about this, why you got involved and what it offers people.
Okay, let's talk about network marketing. Some people describe it as pyramid systems, and pyramids are illegal and certainly something I'd not be involved in. But what people don't really understand is what it actually is. Network marketing is just a distribution system by recommendation instead of marketing that's paid for. So if I recommend a friend because they've been to a restaurant, they gladly, happily go along, but I'm not going to get paid for the recommendation, whereas in network marketing you do. I was previously involved in product-based companies, and what I found was, although I had the skills to sell, because I'd sold in my IT business for years, I was relatively successful, but other people didn't have the skill set to sell. And now I work with iBoomerang, which is fantastic because people don't have to sell. The tech does the selling for you. We just introduce members to our club for free to save money on travel and other verticals that are being introduced. I'm following and proud to be working with a guy that's earned 100 million in 10 years in network marketing. So I've got a really good coach with a really good company that's right at the forefront. And it's not about being the top of the pyramid. And I say top of the pyramid as in a shape, because Tesco's is a pyramid. You have a chairman and the checkout workers at the bottom. But in our iBoomerang, we're helping everybody elevate themselves to get promoted. We have space for everybody at the top. And my first person I sponsored into iBoomerang is 2 levels above me, because they put in more time and more effort than I have and been more successful. But it just goes to show that people can elevate past you. It's not this interpretation of, oh, I won't be at the top, or the top earn money. That's not how it works. And I'm really happy to speak to anybody about that if they'd like to. It's a great passion of mine. Network marketing really enables ordinary people to have a business without the overheads that I had before, with the 35 staff and all the rest of it went with it. So reach out, theandyclarke.co.uk. You'll see all my details on there, and I'm sure Keith's going to share it anyway.
I certainly will, Andy. iBoomerang definitely sounds very interesting. And for those of you listening who would like to ask Andy a bit more about that, and again, obviously the opportunity that it involves, we'll include a link in the interview, but it is theandyclarke.co.uk. Fantastic. Thank you, Andy, for that. Now, finally, to wrap today's Street Stock United podcast interview, and it's been a great pleasure, as always, speaking with you, Andy. The final question we always ask is, what's the best advice you've ever been given, and by who?
Now, I've been given a lot of advice in my time by a lot of other people, but the very best piece of advice that I live by, and I quote, is the opinion of others is simply none of my business. So in terms of my belief in myself, it is rock solid. People can have all their opinions they like about me, but they simply are only their opinions. I am very clear on myself, and I really would encourage people to be confident in themselves. And when other people have opinions that are often so negative, build a rock solid iron wall around yourself with your own mind, so that you're not affected by the negative opinions of others. Of course, take the great ones if you choose. Okay, thank you very much, Keith. I'm really pleased to be on your podcast today, and I hope I provided some really good content and contribution for your listeners. Thank you very much, Mr. Keith Mabbott.
Brilliant, Andy. Thank you. The opinion of others is simply none of my business. I absolutely love that. Essentially, your own self-belief is what matters. Andy, there is no truer word. You can't underestimate the power and importance of self-belief. Truly believing in yourself, even if others around you doubt you. It's easy for many of us to get pulled into negativity surrounding you, but it takes real character to rise above that and keep true to yourself. It's all key learnings, actually, that we take young people through on our academy and schools programs. So thank you so much for that, Andy. There you go. You've listened here to the brilliant man himself, that is Andy Clarke, successful entrepreneur and business owner. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow for our next podcast interview.
Right.